In part 1 of this two-part series on the CB700 hydraulic clutch system, I rebuilt the hydraulic slave cylinder. In this part 2 of the series, I will be installing a functional master cylinder and then bleed out the hydraulic clutch system so it will function correctly once I get this bike up and running. This is the clutch master cylinder that came off of the bike. I think, as you recall, it's pretty nasty on the inside. It would probably need a full rebuild. I mean, you push the lever and it just kind of sticks. But when I got the bike, it came along with a bunch of extra parts, one of which is this clutch master cylinder. This one feels really good. It looks really good. I'm going to open up the inside just to see what that looks like. I'm hoping this will not need to be rebuilt. And I can just mount it on the bike, hook up the clutch line, bleed the system through, and have a functioning clutch. Little crustiness. I see some fluid. That's a good sign. Oh, hey, there is some fluid in there. Let me get my bucket. It looks pretty nasty. Yeah, pretty nasty. But the inside looks really good. I think I can probably spray this out and get it functioning without a rebuild. Okay, I'm going to go spray this out with some parts cleaner and then come on back and inspect it a little further. Cleaned up pretty good. I was able to get parts cleaner to pump through and spray at me, so I think the master cylinder is good and functioning. So I think it's time to get this installed on the bike. And we'll see about getting the clutch system fully functional. Okay, now to bleed the system, get the clutch functioning without making a complete mess. So I have the handlebars turned a little bit to the right, and that helps to, I guess, flatten the top of the master cylinder here. You can see the brake master cylinder is kind of angled down, which means the fluid would want to spill out over the edge. So I have my handlebars turned here. So hopefully the top of this is as flush as possible so I can fill this up without brake fluid spilling over. So let's get some brake fluid in here and see if we can get it pumped through the system. I'm going to do a little protective measure here. Let me move my mic. I really don't want this brake fluid spilling all over the bike and eating away its finish. So I find it helpful. I screwed on one of these bottle tops off of like 80, 90 gearbox oil. It just makes it real nice to pour in a controlled way, this brake fluid, so it doesn't spill all over, hopefully. Okay, so that is filled up. Now I will get my bleeder kit. I bought one of these previously this year when I was bleeding the hydraulic, bleeding the hydraulic clutch and the entire brake system on my VMAX. And this thing I really like. It seems to be a pretty good kit. I think it's a Harbor Freight type of a deal, but it works. So I'm going to hang my 8mm wrench. We'll get this loose. Kind of need a shorty wrench or something. I think that'll do. I think I'll get that just loose because I may be able to snug it up with this adapter here. Just kind of finger tight as I go through the bleed system. Okay, that's on. So that will actually turn the bleeder screw, because the bleeder screw is loose enough, and snug it up good enough, I think, that it won't leak after I get the bleed process done. So here's my drip catcher. I don't destroy the bike. Okay, so that is fluid is full in the master cylinder. The bleeder screw is wide open. I'm going to depress my lever here. See if I can suck some brake fluid through the system. Since the system is completely empty, it's kind of hard to tell if you're pulling anything through until fluid gets all the way into the system. So I'm going to pop up and take a look at the master cylinder and see if fluid is dropping in the master cylinder, telling me it's getting pulled through. I'm just pumping the master cylinder quite a bit here. Bubbles are coming up from the piston body, so I think that's good. Okay, it is starting to pull brake fluid through. I'm going to cycle my air compressor and then we'll get back to bleeding. Add a little bit more fluid, carefully. Okay. And we'll loosen the bleed screw and see if we pump anything through. I depress my vacuum here and kind of pump the lever at the same time. That is definitely pulling fluid now. My compressor may switch back on, and if it does, I'll mute that out or cut it out because I may go through a couple cycles here. And I'm hoping to see some brake fluid bubble through my line here. Once I get a pretty solid stream, a solid amount coming through, then I'll start to work to try to build pressure in the system to get all the air bubbles out. Oh, I'm getting fluid. Of course. So I'm starting to get fluid coming through. I'll see if I can demonstrate it for you. You should see some bubbles here in the line. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I think the system is full of fluid. Let's see if I can start to pump it up and get some pressure. I am going to put the diaphragm here, where are you at? Right there. I'm going to put the diaphragm back on the master cylinder while I'm trying to pump up pressure. I think that'll work. Okay, let's pump it up and see if we get anything. I'm feeling some resistance. This is good. Feels like a clutch. Okay, got about 15 pumps here. I'm going to hold it and crack this. Tighten it back down. Some air bubbles coming out. That's good. Let's do that again. "20 pumps, hold the lever, crack. Solid fluid. Couple small little bubbles there. I'm going to check the fluid level in the master cylinder underneath the diaphragm. That is still good. I don't want to run out of fluid in the master cylinder as I'm doing this, because then I'll get air in the system and have to start all over. "25 pumps and hold. Solid fluid. I think I'll do one more cycle and then call it good." Pump and hold. Solid fluid, no air bubbles. Snug that down. I think the clutch system is bled, should be functioning, and I can feel resistance in it like a hydraulic clutch. It is feeling as it should, operating as it should. So I think we are good. All right, we'll cover we'll make sure this is snug down. Put our bleeder cover on, and there we go. This thing works like a charm. I really like it. Makes jobs like this very manageable. Top off the fluid if needed and seal this up. All right, everybody. Well, the clutch is feeling very good, and the bike is still stuck in gear. I really didn't think that by getting the clutch functioning, I would be able to get it out of gear. I think I'm going to have to get the bike running and see what's going on internally to figure out what's going on with the transmission. So in the next episode, that's what I'm going to do. Get the carbs mounted and get this bike running. This is Chris for CK Cycles. We'll see you later.